puso ko. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da. Ang puso ko. Ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-da-ba-da. Nabadab-badab, nabadab-badab, nabadab-nabadab sa'yo.
We're back here at Radyo Migrante, Vibe 105.5, your main source of news. Tapos makikinig na po tayo sa Pulso ng Migrante ngayon. Now, ang pulso natin ngayon are actually the responses of our communities here in Canada and the Philippines about the shooting at Pulse, which is a gay nightclub in Orlando. So let's hear it.
We need to get together. We need to come together today to recognize what happened and to be there to mourn the victims and to support the families.
I feel like with each and every single person that we meet, so long as we show them that the love that we have for each other, it's a good example. It's a simple example, but it's a powerful one.
Two of my friends died. They won't be forgotten. I think we remember them. I think Stonewall propelled us to where we are today, and I think this is going to get us further.
For them to be killed in an area where it's supposed to be safe, that's actually very frightening. And also, for somebody to have access to that kind of weapon, it says something about gun control.
I thought it was important for the Muslim community to unite together with our LGBTQ communities to actually say that we are against hatred.
Maganda tong opportunity para rin pakita sa mga anak ko na sinama ko dito na yung maging malawak ang pag-iisip at yun nga sabi ko na mag-suporta sa pagkipaglaban ng LGBT community for their rights.
Instead of celebrating all the achievements that we've experienced the past year, it's a wake-up call to remind everyone that our work is not done yet as a LGBT community.
I had a friend who just left Orlando because her transgender sister is one of those who were killed in Orlando. So it's really, really sad to me to hear her say this.
Love is love, and love doesn't discriminate, and to have hatred towards the gay or anybody because of their race or their culture, it's totally uncalled for. And I just want to let them know that don't discriminate.
We can't let this silence us. There's still hate out there, and the answer to that hate is to stand up and express yourself and be proud of me.
Pumatay kasi ang Diyos lamang nakakalam kung kailan tayo dapat pumunta sa Kanya o para sa akin wala siyang karapatan. Meron akong mga kamag-anak, meron akong mga relatives na kaya kailangan, ina-accept ko kahit nasabihin mo na iba ang pananampalataya mo, pero kailangan i-accept mo, hindi naman pwedeng gugulo wala naman silang ginagawang masama.
As long as okay sila, hindi sila gumagawa ng masama, walang masama doon. They deserve a chance. Diba? Para sa akin, masyado silang judgmental. Siguro, kulang lang din sila sa paliwanag or wala silang kaalaman. Makitid. Ganon. Kasi sila man, hindi rin naman sila perfecto. It doesn't matter man kung bakla, tomboy, babae, lalaki. Ang importante sa akin, kung ano ka bilang tao. Diba? Yun lang. Anong ginagawa mo? Ngayon, tao, matino ka kay lalaki ka, babae ka, then, puro isipin, puro kasamaan mong kabalastag ang ginagawa mo, wala rin. Mas mabuti pa sa'yo ang isang bakla, tomboy, na may magandang pananaw sa buhay at nakakatulong naman, wala namang ginagawang masama. So, walang masama doon. Marami din naman mga bakla or tomboy na successful. Hindi kung ano ka ang basihan. Para sa akin, kung ano ka, kung anong ginagawa mo sa lipunan at bilang tao, kung ano ka.
Hindi ako nagbabasa kasi ng ano eh. Baka mas alam pa niya.
Siyempre naman tao sila eh. Oo naman, lahat tayo may karapatang mabuhay. Lahat tayo pare-parehas. Ito yun. Same respect. Same respect.
Hindi naman siguro. Pare-paro lang naman tayong tao. Tsaka, ano ba to? It's a free country, right? So, parang hindi rin makatao, hindi rin makatarungan na gawin sa kanila yon. Respeto na lang, oo. Yun, I'll accept her, whatever she is. She's my daughter or he's my son, whatever he is, she is. I'll accept him, her as a person because he's my child. He or she is my child, you know. I mean, kahit ano pa siya, kahit ano, susuportahan ko siya. I'll understand, ano ba yan, naiyak na ako. I'll understand the way she is, he is, yun.
Pantay-pantay naman po natin. Equality po. Actually yun, tinatanggap naman. Kamag-anak na yan, tsaka mahal na yan. Kahit ano po.
We will not tolerate homophobia of any kind in Manitoba. We will support all the youth and all the members of LGBTQ community, and we will support them. We will be their allies in the struggle for acceptance and freedom from fear. For many in the LGBTQ community, gay clubs are a place of safety, a place where they can be themselves, a place where they can safely hold their partner's hand, a place where it doesn't matter which bathroom they use, a place where they can make it on their alone. Yesterday's tragic events have threatened those safe places, and the LGBTQ community will need all allies to stand up and help them reclaim their spaces. We all need to stand with the LGBTQ community and make it clear that all of them are accepted and safe to be where they are. Events like this are a reminder that violence and fear are still daily experiences for many in the LGBTQ community. Let us not allow these things to happen. Let us all work for equality for all Manitobans. Let this be a statement that we all stand behind, not just in principle, but in action.
So that was our Pulso na Migrante. You heard different voices from our community here in Canada and the Philippines about what happened in Orlando, Florida last week, you know.
So we're going to have a feature interview, a segment. But before we get to that, maybe we're just going to give a brief backgrounder about I guess the topic of today, no? Yeah. On June 12, last week, 2016, 49 people were killed by a heavily armed gunman at Paul Pulse, a popular Florida gay bar, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. That's what they called it. Now, the shooter has been identified as Omar Mateen of Fort Pierce, Florida. Mateen is a U.S. citizen who was born in New York and later moved to Florida. Authorities said officials have said that they are investigating whether the massacre was an act of quote-unquote terrorism. Right now, U.S. President Barack Obama said that the nightclub shooting in Orlando was an act of, again, quote-unquote act of terror and quote-unquote act of hate. Among those killed were a star student who just landed a college scholarship, a talented dancer, one is a self-identified daddy's girl, one is a group of them are several pairs of BFFs, and there's partners, there's lovers, there's beloved parents, brothers, sisters, friends, aunts, uncles, cousins, and co-workers.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. For our guest today, it would be Professor Robert Diaz from University of Toronto. His teaching and scholarship focuses on the intersections of sexuality, Filipino, Asian, and post-colonial studies. And he is also has an upcoming book called Diasporic Intimacies, Queer Filipinos or Filipinas and Canadian Imaginaries. Hello, Professor Robert.
Hi, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Hi, thank you for gracing our show.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we can jump on the questions right now.
Sure.
Yeah, so basic question, how do you feel after you knew about what happened in Orlando? You being coming from the US as well, right? Because you studied there for years.
Yeah.
What was your first reaction once you heard about the news?
I mean, it's very difficult, right? I mean, I think as you mentioned, I'm from the U.S. I've actually been to that area. And, so I moved to the U.S. when I was 17. And so I've lived there for most of, so 13 years. And so for me, as a gay person who's also racialized, it was a very difficult experience to see it both as an experience that happens to folks similar to me, but also to happen to folks similar to me, and then for me to hear about it from afar, right? So there's that experience of both having it be a visceral, so when I first saw the news, it was early in the morning in Toronto, and it was 20 people at that time, right? And then as the day progressed, it became 49 people on the list of folks that had passed away. So it's very difficult to experience it. And I think it also is very difficult to experience it, especially when you're someone who has now gotten accustomed to how we think about LGBTQ identity and race in Canada. So at some point we can talk about that. So then there's also that element of what does it mean to be a Filipino diasporic person, to have experienced multiple communities and multiple locations of being gay and Filipino, and then having this event sort of speak to different elements of those locations. So that's sort of how it felt to me in the beginning.
So maybe you can expand more, because you already mentioned about that. Yung what roles do prejudices, discrimination, and violence play in the everyday lives of LGBT people, and what are the specific issues that LGBT people or the community face in Canada?
Marami. So, pwede ako mag-Tagalog?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. marami. Umpisahan natin sa experience ng mga LGBTQ people na of color, right? And a lot of the violences they experience are both microaggressions, or so violences that are not necessarily systemic but cultural, right? So there's parang it's a feeling of isolation, feelings of being not being able to belong to family, feelings of not having a community. I mean, that's one way of thinking about a kind of form of microaggression that LGBTQ Filipinos, and especially LGBTQ racialized people feel. But then there's also systemic issues, right? Like not having rights to discrimination, anti-discrimination bills, for instance, right? So then, so in the U.S., so what's really kind of specific about this moment of violence is that it's also raising issues around the fact that, last week, right, or even within the last few months, there's been all of this debate in the United States about transgender rights, right? And how, a bill in North Carolina was specifically targeting, right, transgender communities. And so there's a particular systemic issue too, right? So it's not just microaggressions, it's not just informal culture stuff. There's systemic forms of disempowerment that LGBTQ people of color feel. Within the Canadian context, napansin ko, so I've done research not only in Toronto, pero in Vancouver, in Montreal, in Calgary, at saka in Winnipeg. And what is really important for us to think about is, as Filipinos in Canada, nadi-disempower na nga tayo because we're being deprofessionalized, right? De-skilled. We're experiencing really en masse modes of disenfranchisement from like particular labor markets, right? So if you have that issue already, tapos idagdag mo pa yung issue na ano ka kung LGBT ka, na wala kang mababalingan pag may problema ka, na hindi naman, some LGBT people, hindi naman sila out sa family nila. Diba? So hindi yun yung parang kasi dito, paglipat mo, minsan ang unang binabalingan mo ng problema, pamilya or mga kaibigan. Paano kung wala ka nun? Diba? Yun yung isang problema. Tapos, ang isa pang issue natin, karamihan ng mga organizations dito sa Canada, sa Calgary, sa Winnipeg, sa Toronto, either religious sila or provincial. So ang nangyayari sa mga organizations na ito ituloy, nagiging isolated rin ang mga LGBTQ from asking services or advice from these organizations. So parang nakukuha mo na nga yung systemic disempowerment sa Canada ng mga Filipinos. Kasi dagdag mo pa yung pakiramdam na wala kang pwedeng kausapin tungkol doon dahil yung mga organizations na dapat tutulong, hindi rin sila capable kasi minsan yung kanilang perspective, ideological, religious, philosophical, hindi accepting or inclusive sa mga community na ganun.
For what do you think also kung for people who have not yet come out, what do you think is the implications of what happened in Orlando shooting, tapos yung inaccessibility of the services that you mentioned? How does it affect people in coming out, and why is it important also to empower people to come out?
That's a good question. A couple of things that comes to mind. First, sa atin, I think sa Filipino culture, and research has been done on this by Martin Manalansan and a lot of other folks, coming out is a different version, di ba? Minsan, ang coming out sa atin, hindi siya ganun ka-official. Yung parang, hindi siya yung Western version na mag-out ka na lang. Minsan, alam na ng pamilya, alam na ng magulang, alam na ng mga kaibigan, ng ibang members ng family, pero hindi pinag-uusapan. Diba? And I think, I think it's important na hindi natin i-pressure na mag-come out ang mga Filipino kasi parang in many ways, we have a different version of relationship minsan sa pamilya. Pero ang nangyayari pag ganun, pag hindi nagka-come out, hindi na pag-uusapan, yung mga events like Orlando become a parang catalyst for folks to even not talk about it at all. So hindi talaga, not even na hindi kausapin ng pamilya, pero just become isolated because you have a sense na, there's real violence that happens, and how does that translate into your everyday, like interaction with friends, interaction with communities. And then I think there's a way in which, again, sa Canada, I would say that there's a false promise of inclusion minsan, na parang feeling mo, included kasi LGBT friendly ang Canada. Ang Canada, maraming laws, right, protecting LGBTQ communities. We have marriage here, ganyan. Pero I think ang hindi niyan ina-approach or hindi niya tinitingnan, yung specific issues pag racialized ka, pag migrant ka, pag wala kang documentation, pag diasporic ka, di ba? Pag yung language issues mo nandun pa. Pag you're coming from the Philippines na yung concept ng bakla is so strong, diba, na it's seen in such negative light most of the time. So all of these issues come out in these moments na parang may makikita ka na form of violence, and if you have to reconcile yung different versions ng LGBTQ na meron tayo sa West pero meron din sa Pilipinas, and how does that square in our lived realities here in Canada, diba, as diasporic people, as people who have to really not only live but survive, in particular ways.
How would you also compare the LGBT experience in the US in comparison with Canada, the multiculturalism here, tapos sa Philippines na there's still that I'd say stigma when you come out? How would you compare these different experiences?
It's very interesting, right? So first, I think ang first comparison point natin dapat ang law, 'di ba, ang batas, 'di ba? Anong types ng mga laws ang different? Syempre sa US, meron silang marriage na, after DOMA was deemed unconstitutional, Defense of Marriage Act. around 2 years ago, meron na silang marriage. Pero walang protection. So ang protection sa states tungkol sa LGBT identity is state by state. So hindi siya federal. So ang anti-discrimination law, wala. So pwede ka, so that's what people are saying in Florida. Pwede kang magpakasal sa Florida, pero pwede ka i-fire ng Monday. Kasi wala naman protections yun eh. Diba? Walang protections tungkol sa pagiging LGBT. So that's something that's different from Canada. Canada, we do, for example, Ontario Human Rights Code, in the federal government, not only do we have marriage, we do have protections for sexual orientation, not gender identity, right? So gender identity, bago lang yan, i-introduce pa lang. Sa Pilipinas, wala talaga, right? Walang marriage at saka walang protection for anti-discrimination. Meron sa municipal level. So ang Manila, meron na sila, right? Anti-discrimination around sexual orientation, pero hindi siya federal or hindi siya sa buong bansa. And so, yun yung unang kailangan nating basihan kung titingnan natin kung ano yung diferensya. Pero outside of that, ang isa pa talaga nating kailangan pag-usapan, I'm glad you brought up multiculturalism. Kasi ang multiculturalism sa Canada, as my research shows, so ito yung lalabas sa Queer Filipinos in Canada next year at saka sa second book ko. Multiculturalism is interesting kasi minsan, dahil sa sinasabi niya na overall accepted or we're celebrating a kind of acceptance and tolerance, we forget to think about the historical specifics. Ano yung mga specifics ng community natin and why those things are significant. So, ang multiculturalism has this false promise of acceptance ba? Pero hindi natin na pag-uusapan yung mga difficulties na nandun rin pag nandito ka. And so, sa research ko sa Calgary, it's really interesting. I interviewed 35 LGBTQ Filipinos. Tapos, I asked them, so, pag-uusapan namin yung de-skilling nila. Minsan, they work 10, 12-hour days sa isang araw. So, yung racism na na-experience nila sa Calgary. Ang last question ko usually sa mga interviewees ko, do you think Canada is there racism in Canada? And do you think multiculturalism works? For sure, ang lahat ng sagot nila, of course it works. And walang racism sa Canada. Right? And then I think that's what's really interesting to me na isipin natin. Parang, nagkwento ka na ng 10 to 12 hours sa akin ng life experiences mo, ng homophobia, na connected na being Filipino ka, both within and outside the community, sa mga hindi Filipino at saka Filipino. Tapos, all of a sudden, nang sasabihin mo na, na wala akong experience, walang racism at saka multiculturalism works. And I think that's very specific to Canada. Meron tayong very specific relationship to this narrative of tolerance na I think we have to, as Filipinos, start unpacking. Kasi kung hindi natin siya i-unpack, parang, things like that happened in Orlando are actually a wake-up call, right? For us to think about the kind of forms of oppression that exist across the board, right? That we don't even think through. And, so what was so violent about that moment is that, and even the debate around the event, is that majority of the people that passed away, 90% of them are people of color and Latino and Latina, right? And there's a way na even the debate around who do we get to grieve for? Are we grieving for LGBTQ people? Are we grieving for racialized LGBTQ people? And I think that actually also exists in Canada. When we say acceptance, are we saying acceptance to majority of non-racialized LGBTQ communities? Are there specific stories that Filipinos encounter and that specific struggles that we encounter that we have to come out with or really share for people to see that this is also a systemic issue for us, diba?
Yeah, actually, maraming ang kaming naririnig din na yung racial side nga, yung racialized side ng for example, the person who did the crime and then the people that he victimized.
Yeah.
Diba? So maraming stories and there's a lot of debates around that, and there's been talks of twisting it into as yung sabi nga ni Obama, acts of terror, and then using the event as an excuse to attack racialized communities, not only dito here in North America, and even attack them in their homeland.
Exactly, and we have to be. I know that's a good point. We have to be very vigilant about Islamophobia, for instance.
Yes.
We have to be vigilant so we don't utilize one oppression to then create oppression for other communities, right? And especially communities na intersectional. And I think one of the things as Filipinos also we reflect, so minsan mga kaibigan ko pag pinag-usapan namin, how it feels to us this event happened. I always remind them, diba, na parang, when we start thinking about one religion as supposedly more homophobic, we also have to then look at our own religious affiliations, right? We have to start questioning our own beliefs and why my research shows in Canada, because nga maraming religious organizations rin tayo dito, na minsan hindi talaga sila accepting sa community. Diba? And that's not isolated to just one religion. That's like a lot of religions. And so we have to really begin questioning those norms. Diba? And paano sila specifically affecting a community.
Yeah, no, bringing it back siguro sa Filipino community natin, like a lot of Filipinos are really close to the churches, right? Tapos, but then right now, at the moment, the church community under Pope Francis is actually still quiet about what happened, and even even recognizing the same-sex marriage. Now, what is your comment on that?
I think that it's very important for us to know that, of course, religion, and it's both it's a function of our beliefs, but it's also a function of colonialism, right? And so we have to think about how a lot of what we know as a community, we have to be I guess not only self-critical but really reflective about particular practices na can still be harmful, diba? Not to say naman na we have to abandon these beliefs, but to actually understand na these beliefs sometimes come from larger histories, diba? And those histories are usually histories that have excluded particular people, right? From indigenous communities, from women, right? From LGBTQ communities. And how do we become critical of that as a community? And also, even within those spaces, open up modes of inclusion, right? Kasi marami rin naman, so karamihan ng LGBTQ na Filipino ini-interview ko, they're religious. Diba? So paano tayo gagawa ng space na open, na hindi na at the end of the day ang trabaho talaga natin bilang professors, bilang social service workers, bilang community is to find an inclusive space, diba? Lalo na sa mga Filipinos na I would say not only are dealing with issues of sexuality, but are also really dealing with intense class issues, right? Dealing with issues of documentation, issues of temporary foreign worker status, and also dealing with a remittance culture and a neoliberal culture, right? Where they have to support their families back home. So these are so Orlando is important for us because it allows us to think about not only the significance of a community, right? But that violence that happened to that community, their lives, those 49 people each represent a particular life. Some of them, yes, are going to college. Some of them are not even from Orlando. They're from Puerto Rico, or their spaces, colonial spaces too, right? And we have to recognize that those people's lives, right, the reason why they matter is that we also see ourselves in them. We might not even be LGBT, right? But our experience as Filipinos in Canada show us that to some extent they speak our histories, right? That they are also racialized, and we are racialized in this space,
I think one thing that has to be mentioned here on air is the fact that the first same-sex marriage in the Philippines happened about 11 years ago between two rebel members of the New People's Army, and they made really space to recognize that same-sex marriage. So having said that, in the Philippines, going back there, what are your hopes for the new incoming president? Having known him also as collaborating with the revolutionary government, and what are your messages for the youth as well, growing up here?
I think there's I think first for the president and for the for the Philippine government, it's really to understand that we may have things that are informal forms of acceptance, right? Yung parang sige papayag na yung pwede ka na maging out sa gobyerno or ganyan. But at the end of the day, those things have to translate to law, diba? Like now we have to fight for anti-discrimination laws. I think ako as a queer studies professor, LGBTQ studies professor, naintindihan ko na importante ang gay marriage, pero sa akin mas importante ang anti-discrimination, diba? Na parang pwede ka magpakasal, pero kung pwede ka naman tanggalin sa trabaho the next day, wala ka ng trabaho, wala ka ng livelihood. So parang sa akin, we have to be vigilant na LGBT rights are human rights, which means na that should be in law, right? And that we have to think intersectionally na LGBTQ rights also are women's rights, right? Also are the rights of indigenous populations in other places in the Philippines, right? All of those go hand in hand, ganyan. So parang yun yung ko sana sa gobyerno, na parang ang approach natin ay holistic, na makikita natin na one right is actually not a special right, but actually it speaks to the right of many, you know, that also experience multiple identities, diba? Sa youth naman, kailangan tayo magmumula ng pag-asa. You know, kailangan tayo maging vigilant na maging part ng community, not only, you know, sa community natin, mga pamilya, ganyan, but it's really, you know, what you folks are doing at Migrante, like to really be active, right? And to have a voice and to have a stake. You know, kasi minsan karamihan sa atin, minsan iniisip natin kailangan mo na may mangyaring masama tapos tsaka tayo magiging active, di ba?
True.
Bakit hindi natin sabihin na actually ito ang paraan, ito ang opportunity for us. You know, there's this movie that just came out yun ito lang sa Inside Out sa Toronto, pinakita siya. Outrun yung pangalan ng movie. And it's on Ladlad, right? And Ladlad's attempt to have a seat in Congress. Pero hindi sila nakakuha ng seat. Pero what inspired me about the movie is that, you know, there's hope, right? Na kahit na anong mangyari, there's still a sense na I matter, right? And I think that is something na, you know, people in Canada, for instance, have done studies on role models, diba? Pero I think that we have to also start beginning to expand what our notion of role model is, right? Expand na hindi lang minsan family members or particular genders, right? It's actually to understand that we can inspire each other, right? It could be your friend, it could be your colleague, it could be your classmate, diba? Pero we have to find a kind of common ground as Filipinos first. Kasi kung hindi tayo magkakaroon ng solidarity, and importante ang solidarity sa lahat ng ginagawa natin.
Thank you so much, Professor Robert Diaz, for gracing our show. Sorry, we don't have much time.
No, thanks for inviting me.
But we really appreciate your words of hope and your inspiration as a leader in the community as well. Thank you.
Salamat talaga. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was a very inspiring interview, no, Sarah?
There's so many more that we can talk about.
Yeah, I know. I still have a lot of questions, but I guess there's still some activities or conversations that we can get engaged. And tama si Professor Robert, because it's not just this negative events that we are just waiting to happen. That time when we would just push for conversations about these issues, about discrimination, about prejudices, and about the violence that people, especially the LGBT, from the LGBT community, the people of color, and the working class communities are experiencing every day. Ayun. So that's what I thought of the interview.
Kararating lang ni Kim Abis from Anak Bayan, Toronto. Baka may gusto kang sabihin.
Yeah.
Ayan.
Ay, kamusta? Sorry, late ako Si Rai sabi
Next time bumawi ka.
Yeah, I know. Mas maaga. Nakikinig ako doon sa radio show habang papunta ko. Di tama-tama si Rai sabi, so nasa bus ako. So, pero gusto ko lang mag-respond kasi una-una salamat kay Robert Diaz para sa pagpapa-interview kasi importante talaga na malabas ang mga perspektibo ng LGBTQ community tungkol sa incident nito. Pero gusto ko rin i-emphasize na ano ba talaga ang problema dito. Kasi para sa akin, marami mga perspektibo na, sige, dapat hindi tayo Islamophobic, tapos hindi dapat natin i-support ang war on terror kapag mangyari ito. Pero sa totoo lang, paano pa nagkaroon ng problema na ganito? Ang US imperialism, sila talaga ang gumawa ng kondisyon para ang mga LGBTQ people sa US, ang safe space lang nila ay isang club. Bakit ngayon masasabi na natin na nasa club ang sanctuary ng mga LGBTQ people sa US, lalo na ng mga people of color. Tapos nun, alam natin na ang US imperialism na nagpa-foster ng fundamentalism tsaka conservative values at nagpa-promote ng violence. So yung gun control talaga, kailangan maging critical tayo kung gun control ba talaga ang solusyon dito. At saka sa totoo lang, gusto ko rin pa-remind sa mga Pilipino na si Jennifer Laude, pinatay siya ng US imperialism. Ang mundo ba umiyak at tumutok sa kanyang pagkamatay? Mag-remind tayo na siya rin ay isang biktima ng ganitong hate.
Violence,
Maraming salamat, Kim. Alam kong naghihikaws kang pumunta dito, pero thank you.
Grabe,
naghihikaws talaga. Unfortunately, wala na tayong oras. Wala na rin tayong oras for announcement, pero next week, babalik pa naman tayo.
For sure, may space naman tayo para mag-post ng mga announcements. Online, sa Facebook, follow us, Radio Migrante, #Radio Migrante.
Exactly.
Sa Twitter, meron din. Ayun. And thank you for everyone who are supporting us and encouraging us to do our weekly show on Sunday. Yeah.
At ang huli nating awitin ay Kapayapaan ngayon na mula kay Sandra Bisenyo ng Mag-alay sa Bayan from Lapis. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Bye!
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 Tagal mo nang naghihinagpis, problema ng kahirapan kay tagal nang tinitiis, dukha't maya